The night she demanded, "Give me an open relationship or forget the wedding," I didn't argue. I just smiled and said, "Sure, no problem." What she didn't know? By next weekend, I'd be taking her own friends on dates, and she'd be begging me to stop. The fork in my hand felt heavier than it should have as I stared at the overpriced salmon on my plate. Velvet's Bistro, because of course Aubrey picked the most pretentious place in downtown to drop her little bomb. The candlelight flickered across her perfectly contoured face, and I could see her friends Kinsley, Thea, and Brielle leaning in like vultures sensing fresh roadkill. "So, Trevor," Aubrey said, her voice carrying that fake sweet tone she used when she was about to destroy someone's evening. "I've been thinking about us. About our future." I kept chewing my salmon, watching her through the corner of my eye. After 3 years together, I knew that tone. It meant trouble. Big trouble. "I think we should have an open relationship," she continued, loud enough for her friends to hear. "You know, before we get married. Experience other people. Be free." The words hung in the air like a bad smell. Kinsley actually giggled, a high-pitched sound that made me want to throw my dinner roll at her. Thea muttered something under her breath that sounded like, "Finally, freedom." And Brielle just stared at me with those cold blue eyes of hers, waiting for my reaction. Here's the thing about being underestimated your whole life. You learn to stay calm when everyone expects you to explode. They wanted a scene. They wanted me to throw a fit, storm out, maybe even cry a little. Give them something to gossip about for weeks. Instead, I set down my fork, wiped my mouth with the cloth napkin, and smiled. "Sure," I said. "No problem." The silence that followed was beautiful. Aubrey's face went through about 5 different expressions in 2 seconds. Confusion, surprise, disappointment, and finally something that looked almost like panic. You're okay with this?" she stammered. "Why wouldn't I be?" I shrugged, taking a sip of my wine. "If you want freedom, you should have freedom." We both should. Her friends exchanged glances. This wasn't going according to their little script. They'd probably spent hours planning this moment, picturing my humiliation as dinner theater for their entertainment. "I mean, I thought you might be upset," Aubrey said, her voice smaller now. "Upset?" I laughed, and it came out genuinely amused. "Aubrey, you just gave me permission to date other people. Why would I be upset about that?" The truth was, I wasn't surprised. I'd seen this coming for months. The late nights at work conferences, the secretive texting, the way she'd started treating me like a boring placeholder in her Instagram-perfect life. I work IT security for Davidson Logistics, not glamorous, but it pays well, and I'm good at reading patterns. Her pattern had been screaming infidelity for weeks. "So we're doing this?" she asked. "We're doing this," I confirmed, raising my wine glass. "To freedom." She clinked her glass against mine, but her hand was shaking slightly. Her friends looked like someone had just canceled Christmas. As we finished dinner, I could practically hear the wheels turning in Aubrey's head. She'd expected drama, tears, maybe a desperate plea to reconsider. Instead, she got my complete agreement, and it was clearly throwing off her entire plan. "So, what are you going to do?" Thea asked me as we walked to the parking garage. "With your newfound freedom, I mean." I smiled at her, really looked at her for the first time all evening. Thea Hartwell, 28, works in social media marketing for some startup. Pretty in that carefully curated way that screamed daddy issues and validation addiction. She'd always flirted with me when Aubrey wasn't looking. "I'll figure something out," I said. "Maybe start this weekend." Back at my apartment, I poured myself a scotch and sat down at my computer. If Aubrey wanted to play games, I'd play games. But she'd picked the wrong opponent. See, here's what people don't understand about IT security. It's not just about protecting systems. It's about understanding human psychology, recognizing patterns, and always thinking 3 steps ahead. Aubrey thought she was playing chess, but she'd just sat down at a poker table with someone who'd been counting cards for years. I opened my laptop and started making a list. Aubrey's friends weren't just random targets. They were strategic opportunities. Each one represented a different piece of her social circle, a different way to turn her precious freedom into a weapon against her. Kinsley Monroe, 29, works at that boutique marketing firm downtown. Recently broke up with her long-term boyfriend. Always complained about never meeting good guys anymore. Perfect target number 1. Thea Hartwell, the one who'd been flirting with me. Social media obsessed, probably would love the attention and the Instagram opportunities. Brielle Camden, Ice Queen exterior. But I'd noticed how she looked at me sometimes when she thought no one was watching. Challenge accepted. And then there was the nuclear option. Aubrey's sister Paige. That one I'd save for later if things got really ugly. I pulled out my phone and started typing. Text to Kinsley. Hey, this might sound crazy, but would you want to grab coffee sometime? Just as friends. I know things are weird with Aubrey right now, but I could use someone to talk to. Send. Text to Thea. You mentioned that new rooftop bar downtown at dinner. Want to check it out this weekend? Aubrey said you've been wanting to go. Send. Text to Brielle. I know this is awkward timing, but I've always thought you were interesting to talk to. Would you want to grab lunch sometime? No pressure. Send. Within 20 minutes, I had 3 responses. All positive, all eager. My phone buzzed with a text from Aubrey. How are you feeling about everything? I stared at the message for a long moment, then typed back, Great. Already made some plans for the weekend. Thanks for the push. I needed this. The typing indicator appeared and disappeared 3 times before she finally responded. What kind of plans? Just some dates, nothing serious. Exactly what you wanted, right? No response. I leaned back in my chair, scotch burning pleasantly in my chest. If she wanted me disposable, I'd show her what being replaced really looked like. Friday night, Hartwell's rooftop bar. I'd chosen my outfit carefully. Dark jeans, button-down shirt rolled up at the sleeves, just dressy enough to show I cared without trying too hard. Thea was already there when I arrived, looking nervous and excited in a way that told me she'd been planning this outfit for hours. Trevor. She waved me over to a corner table with a perfect view of the city skyline. I wasn't sure you'd actually show up. Why wouldn't I? I slid into the seat across from her, noting how she'd positioned herself so the lighting hit her face just right. Social media training in action. Well, you know, with everything that happened with Aubrey. She stirred her cocktail with its little paper umbrella, avoiding eye contact. What about it? I asked, flagging down the server. She wanted us both to be free, so here we are, being free. Thea's eyes lit up. So this is like a real date? What do you think? I smiled, and she practically melted. The evening went exactly as planned. Thea was desperate for attention, validation, and someone who actually listened when she talked about her job, her dreams, her fears about turning 30 next year. I listened. I asked follow-up questions. I laughed at her jokes and made her laugh at mine. And when she suggested taking a selfie with the city lights behind us, I didn't hesitate. Post it, I said. Tag me. Tag the location. Live your best life, right? She giggled and started typing the caption. Amazing night with an amazing guy. Rooftop vibes. Date night. New beginnings. Within minutes, the likes started pouring in, and I knew Aubrey would see it within the hour. My phone buzzed just as Thea was coming back from the bathroom. Aubrey. Are you seriously on a date with my friend? Me. You said we should see other people. Were there rules I missed? Aubrey. Not with my friends, Trevor. Me. You didn't specify that when you demanded an open relationship in front of these same friends. Seemed like you wanted them involved in our business. The typing indicator appeared and disappeared several times. No response came. Everything okay? Thea asked, sliding back into her seat. Perfect, I said, putting my phone away. Just Aubrey checking in. She's happy we're having fun. Thea beamed. Really? That's so mature of her. If only she knew. Saturday afternoon, coffee with Kinsley at that trendy place on 5th Street where all the Instagram influencers go to take pictures of their lattes. She'd chosen a table by the window naturally and spent the first 10 minutes adjusting the lighting for her photos. "I have to admit," she said, finally putting down her phone, "I was surprised when you texted me." "Why?" I leaned back in my chair, studying her face. Kinsley was pretty in an obvious way, the kind of pretty that required constant maintenance and validation. Her recent breakup had left her vulnerable, searching for proof that she was still desirable. "Well, with Aubrey and everything." She twisted a strand of blonde hair around her finger. "She mentioned you guys decided to open things up, but I didn't think you'd actually, actually what? Date people?" I took a sip of my coffee. "That was kind of the point, wasn't it?" She laughed, a breathy sound that was probably supposed to be sultry. "I guess I just thought you'd be more upset about it. Most guys would be." "Most guys didn't get blindsided at dinner in front of their fiancé's friends," I said, letting a hint of bitterness creep into my voice. "Sometimes when life hands you lemons, you make lemonade." "And I'm the lemonade?" She was flirting now, leaning forward so her cleavage was more prominent. "You're definitely something sweet," I replied, and she practically purred. We talked for 2 hours, about her job at the boutique firm, her ex-boyfriend who just didn't appreciate her dreams of starting her own business someday. I listened, nodded in all the right places, and watched her fall for the oldest trick in the book, genuine attention from an attractive man. When she suggested we take a walk through the nearby park, I agreed. When she wanted to stop for ice cream and take more photos, I was game. And when she posted them to her Instagram story with the caption, "Unexpected connections are the best ones," I made sure to screenshot it before it disappeared. My phone was buzzing constantly now. Text after text from Aubrey. "This is ridiculous, Trevor. You're just doing this to hurt me. Can we please talk? I didn't mean for it to happen like this." I ignored them all until Kinsley went to the bathroom at the ice cream shop. Me. "What didn't you mean to happen like this? Me taking you up on your offer?" Aubrey. "You know what I mean. This isn't what I wanted." Me. "What did you want, exactly? For me to sit home alone while you explored your options?" Aubrey. "We need to talk. Tonight." Me. "Can't. I have plans." Aubrey. "Cancel them." Me. "Sorry, I don't do that to my dates. Unlike some people, I have manners." I put my phone on silent as Kinsley returned, her lip gloss freshly applied. "Sorry about that," she said, sliding back into her chair. "What were we talking about?" "I was just thinking," I said, "that we should do this again soon. Maybe somewhere more private next time." The look she gave me could have melted steel. Sunday evening, my apartment. I was making dinner when the pounding started on my door. Not knocking, pounding, like someone was trying to break it down. I already knew who it was. "Trevor, open this door right now." Aubrey's voice was shrill, probably loud enough for the whole hallway to hear. I took my time walking to the door, checking the peephole to confirm it was just her. She looked like hell, hair messy, makeup smeared, still in yesterday's clothes, the picture of a woman on the edge. "Hey, babe," I said casually as I opened the door. "What's up?" She pushed past me into the apartment, spinning around to face me with wild eyes. "What's up? What's up? You're asking me what's up after spending the weekend whoring around with my friends?" I closed the door slowly, making sure to lock it. "Whoring around. That's an interesting choice of words coming from you." "Don't you dare—" "Don't I dare what?" I interrupted, my voice still calm. "Don't I dare take advantage of the open relationship you demanded? In public? In front of witnesses?" She opened her mouth to respond, then closed it again. Her face was flushed, and I could see a vein pulsing in her temple. "This isn't what I meant," she finally said. "Then what did you mean, Aubrey?" "Because from where I'm standing, It seems like you meant you wanted to sleep around while I sat home like a good little puppy, waiting for you to come back. That's not what? Not fair? Not what you expected? I walked to the kitchen and resumed cooking, not bothering to look at her. You wanted freedom. I'm giving us both freedom. Not with my friends, she screamed. I finally turned to face her. Why not? They're single, available, and apparently very interested. Kinsley was practically climbing into my lap today, and Thea's already texting me about next weekend. Her face went white. Thea's what? I pulled out my phone and showed her the screen. 3 unread messages from Thea, the preview text showing just enough to make it clear she wanted to see me again soon. And Brielle? Aubrey's voice was barely a whisper now. Lunch tomorrow, I said. She suggested this little Italian place she knows. Very intimate, apparently. Aubrey sank onto my couch like someone had cut her strings. You can't do this? Why not? I sat down across from her, elbows on my knees. Give me one good reason why I can't date your friends. Because they're my friends. And you're my fiancée. Or were, before you decided you wanted to explore other options. I let that sink in for a moment. Tell me something, Aubrey. When you made your little announcement at dinner, what exactly did you think would happen? She stared at me, and I could see the wheels turning in her head. Did you think I'd beg? Cry? Promise to be a better boyfriend if you'd just stay faithful? I leaned forward. Or did you already have someone picked out? Someone you'd already been testing the waters with? Her face gave her away. A flash of guilt, quickly covered, but not quickly enough. That's what I thought, I said. So, here's what's going to happen. You wanted an open relationship? You got one. But it goes both ways. You don't get to sleep around while demanding I stay celibate. You don't get to have your cake and eat it too. This is insane, she whispered. This is consequences, I corrected. Something you've apparently never had to deal with before. She sat there for a long moment, staring at her hands. Then she looked up at me with tears in her eyes. Can we please just go back to how things were? No, I said simply. You broke that when you decided to humiliate me in front of your friends. You don't get to take it back now that you don't like how I'm playing the game. She left without another word. But as the door closed behind her, I could hear her crying in the hallway. If she wanted freedom, I'd give her all the freedom she could handle. Monday lunch with Brielle at Massimo's Italian Bistro. She'd chosen a corner booth, somewhere private where we wouldn't be interrupted. Unlike Thea and Kinsley, Brielle was subtle, calculated. She'd ordered wine despite it being barely noon and was watching me with those sharp blue eyes like she was trying to solve a puzzle. So, she said, cutting into her salmon with surgical precision, this is interesting. What is? This whole situation. You, me, Aubrey's meltdown yesterday. She took a sip of her wine. She called me, around midnight, crying, begging me not to see you. I kept eating my pasta, waiting. Brielle wasn't the type to give information away for free. She wanted something in return. What did you tell her? I told her that she made her bed. Brielle smiled, and it wasn't particularly warm. I also told her that if she was stupid enough to give you permission to date other people, she shouldn't be surprised when you actually did it. And what did she say to that? That's the interesting part. Brielle leaned forward, lowering her voice. She said this wasn't how it was supposed to work. That you were supposed to fight for her, not move on. I set down my fork. Move on? We're not broken up. This was her idea, remember? Oh, I remember. I was there when she spent 2 weeks planning that little dinner theater performance. Brielle's smile got sharper. What I don't think she expected was for you to call her bluff so spectacularly. You think it was a bluff? I think Aubrey's been testing you for months, pushing boundaries, seeing how much she could get away with. The open relationship thing was supposed to be the ultimate test. Either you'd grovel and promise to be a better boyfriend, or you'd storm out and she'd get to be the victim who tried to save the relationship. I nodded slowly. It made sense. But I did neither. No, you did something much worse. You agreed. She raised her wine glass in a mock toast. And now she's panicking because she realized she's not the only one who benefits from an open relationship. What else did she tell you? Brielle was quiet for a moment, swirling the wine in her glass. Then she looked up at me with something that might have been respect. She mentioned someone, a guy from her work, said she'd been exploring possibilities but that it wasn't serious. Bingo. I kept my expression neutral, but inside I was filing that information away. Aubrey worked at Pinnacle Marketing downtown. It was a small firm, maybe 20 employees total. Narrowing down her work boyfriend wouldn't be hard. Did she mention a name? No, but... Brielle hesitated, then seemed to make a decision. Look, I'm going to tell you something, but you didn't hear it from me. I waited. Last month at Kinsley's birthday party, Aubrey got drunk and started talking about this married guy she'd been flirting with. Said he was unhappy at home, looking for something exciting. Brielle met my eyes. She seemed pretty pleased with herself about it. Married. That added an interesting wrinkle. Why are you telling me this? Because Aubrey's been treating her friends like supporting characters in her personal drama for years, and because... She paused, seeming to choose her words carefully. Because I don't like seeing good people get played. You think I'm a good person? I think you're a lot smarter than Aubrey gives you credit for. She reached across the table and touched my hand. And I think she's about to find out exactly how smart. After lunch, I walked Brielle to her car. She was driving a sleek BMW, Daddy's money most likely, but she carried herself like she'd earned it. So, she said, fishing her keys from her purse, what happens now? Now I go back to work and pretend this conversation never happened, I said, and you go back to your day and do the same. She smiled. That's not what I meant. I knew what she meant. She was wondering if this was going somewhere, if I was genuinely interested in her, or if she was just a pawn in my revenge game. The honest answer was both. Have dinner with me Friday, I said. Somewhere public where everyone can see us. Even Aubrey? Especially Aubrey. She kissed my cheek before getting into her car, a soft brush of lips that lingered just a second longer than friendly. As she drove away, I pulled out my phone and did a quick search for Pinnacle Marketing's staff directory. Time to figure out who Aubrey's married boyfriend was. Tuesday evening, I sat in my car across from Pinnacle Marketing's office building, watching the employees leave for the day. It was pathetic, really. A grown man playing detective over his cheating fiancée. But sometimes, you had to embrace the pathetic to get to the truth. Aubrey emerged at 6:15, right on schedule, but instead of heading to her car, she walked to the coffee shop next door. 5 minutes later, a man in his 40s joined her. Tall, graying temples, expensive suit, wedding ring catching the light as he gestured while talking. I took photos with my phone's zoom lens, not for evidence, just for identification. When they left the coffee shop together, I followed at a distance as they walked to the parking garage. He kissed her goodbye by his Mercedes SUV, not on the cheek like colleagues, but on the mouth like lovers. Bingo. Wednesday, I did some legitimate research, the kind that didn't involve stalking or breaking any laws. Davidson Logistics did business with several marketing firms around the city, including Pinnacle. It took 3 phone calls and some creative questioning about our account before I had a name. Garrett Weston, senior partner, married with 2 kids. Thursday, I expanded my investigation to social media. Garrett's Instagram was mostly professional shots and family photos. His wife Diana was a pretty brunette who posted frequently about their kids' activities, charity events, and their weekend trips to their cabin in the mountains. She looked happy. blissfully unaware that her husband was having coffee shop meetings with his younger colleague. But here's what made it interesting. Diana wasn't just anyone. She was Paige's yoga instructor. Aubrey's sister, Paige, who went to hot yoga 3 times a week at that expensive studio downtown. Small world was about to get smaller. Friday night, dinner with Brielle at Chez Laurent, the most visible restaurant in the downtown district. Big windows facing the street, intimate lighting, the kind of place where you went to be seen. Brielle looked stunning in a black dress that probably cost more than my monthly rent. "You look like you're planning something devious," she said as we were seated. "What makes you say that?" "The way you've been checking your phone. The fact that you specifically requested this table by the window. The little smile you get when you think you're being clever." She sipped her martini. "What's the play, Trevor?" I liked that she could read me so well. It made the game more interesting. "Remember that married colleague you mentioned?" Her eyes lit up. "You found him." "I found him. And his wife. And a very interesting connection that I don't think Aubrey knows about." I told her about Diana and Paige, watching as Brielle's smile grew wider. "Oh, that's beautiful," she said. "Aubrey has no idea?" "None. She thinks she's being so careful, so clever, but she picked the wrong married man to have an affair with. So, what's the plan?" Before I could answer, my phone buzzed with a text from Thea. "OMG, you two look amazing. Just saw Brielle's Instagram story." I showed Brielle the message, and she laughed. "Your ex-fiancée is going to lose her mind," she said. "That's the idea." But as we talked through dinner, sharing stories and actually getting to know each other beyond the revenge plot, I realized something. I was actually enjoying Brielle's company. She was smart, funny, and had a wicked sense of humor that matched my own. Under different circumstances, this could have been a real relationship. "Can I ask you something?" she said as we finished our wine. "Shoot. When this is all over, when you've gotten your revenge and Aubrey's learned her lesson, what then?" It was a good question, one I wasn't ready to answer. "Let's focus on the now," I said. "The future can wait." She nodded, but I could see the wheels turning behind those blue eyes. Brielle was smart enough to know she was playing with fire. The question was whether she cared about getting burned. As we left the restaurant, walking past the big windows where anyone could see us, I spotted a familiar car across the street. Aubrey's white Lexus, parked in the shadows with the engine running. She'd been watching us. Game on. Saturday morning, my phone rang at 8 a.m., Aubrey's sister Paige, which was unusual because we'd never been particularly close. "Trevor? I'm sorry to bother you, but I need to ask you something." "What's up, Paige?" "Is it true what Aubrey's been telling me? About you dating her friends?" I could hear the judgment in her voice, but also something else. Curiosity, maybe. Or concern. "Your sister asked for an open relationship," I said carefully. "I'm just honoring her wishes." "But Trevor, this is crazy. You guys are supposed to get married in 3 months. "Are we?" "Because Aubrey seems more interested in exploring other options than planning a wedding." There was a long pause. Then, "What do you mean?" I made my voice sound reluctant, like I didn't want to burden her with this information. "Paige, I probably shouldn't be telling you this, but there's someone else, at her work. That's why she wanted the open relationship in the first place." Another pause, longer this time. "Someone at Pinnacle?" "A married someone." I let that sink in. Paige was a good person. I'd always liked her better than Aubrey. She volunteered at animal shelters, taught yoga to seniors, actually seemed to care about other people. The idea of her sister breaking up a marriage would genuinely upset her. "Oh God," she whispered. "Trevor, I think I know who you're talking about." "You do?" "There's this guy, Garrett. His wife Diana comes to my classes. She's lovely, Trevor. She's got 2 little kids and she talks about him like he hung the moon." Paige's voice was getting stronger, angrier. Please tell me Aubrey isn't that stupid. I wish I could. I could hear her breathing hard. This is not okay. This is not who I raised her to be. Paige was 5 years older than Aubrey, had basically raised her after their parents died in a car accident when Aubrey was 15. She took her big sister responsibilities seriously. What are you going to do? I asked. I need to talk to her. Today. Paige, maybe… No, Trevor. This has gone too far. If she wants to throw away her relationship with you, that's her choice. But I won't let her destroy someone else's family. After she hung up, I sat back in my chair with a satisfied smile. I hadn't lied to Paige. Everything I'd told her was true. I'd just positioned the information in a way that would guarantee maximum impact. My phone buzzed with a text from Aubrey. We need to talk. Now. Then another from Kinsley. Want to grab brunch today? And another from Thea. Beach day tomorrow? I'll bring the sunscreen. The noose was tightening. Sunday afternoon, Ocean Point Beach. Thea had picked the most Instagram-worthy spot naturally and spent the first hour taking photos of us in various poses. She looked good in her bikini. She knew it, I knew it, and more importantly, the dozen other people taking photos of us knew it. This is perfect, she said, showing me her phone screen. The lighting, the waves, your tan. God, you're photogenic. I was lying on the beach towel next to her, enjoying the sun and the show. Thea was putting on quite a performance for her social media audience, but I could tell she was genuinely having fun too. In another life, she might have been exactly what I was looking for. Are you posting all of these? I asked. Is that okay? I mean, I know things are complicated with Aubrey. Post whatever you want, I said. Live your truth. She beamed and started typing captions. Within minutes, our beach day was documented for the world to see. Beach vibes, Sunday fun, sought new connections, sought living my best life. My phone, safely tucked in the beach bag, was buzzing constantly. I ignored it. Trevor? Thea's voice was softer now, less performed. Can I ask you something? Sure. Do you think this is wrong? What we're doing? I turned to look at her. She was staring out at the ocean, her confidence flickering. Do you? I asked. I don't know. I mean, Aubrey's my friend, but she's the one who wanted you guys to see other people. And you're… She trailed off. I'm what? You're not what I expected, she said. When we were friends with Aubrey, you were always just there, her boyfriend. But now, talking to you, spending time with you, you're actually really interesting. Thanks? She laughed. That came out wrong. I just mean, maybe Aubrey doesn't know what she's throwing away. Before I could respond, my phone rang. The ringtone was loud enough to hear over the ocean waves, and I could see Aubrey's name on the screen. You should probably answer that, Thea said. I declined the call and put the phone back in the bag. She'll leave a voicemail if it's important. But as we packed up to leave the beach, I could see missed calls and texts piling up. Not just from Aubrey, but from Paige, from Kinsley, even from numbers I didn't recognize. Something had happened. Something big. On the drive back to the city, Thea was unusually quiet. She kept checking her phone, frowning at messages I couldn't see. Everything okay? I asked. It's probably nothing, she said, but her voice sounded strained. Just some drama with the girls. When I dropped her off at her apartment, she kissed me goodbye, a real kiss, soft and lingering. But there was something desperate about it, like she was trying to hold on to something that was already slipping away. I'll call you tomorrow, I said. Will you? She looked uncertain, vulnerable in a way I hadn't seen before. Of course. But as I drove home, my phone ringing constantly in the passenger seat, I had a feeling tomorrow was going to be very different from today. The voicemails were waiting for me when I got home. 7 from Aubrey, increasingly frantic. 3 from Paige, apologetic and worried. 1 from Kinsley that was just sobbing. I listened to Aubrey's first. Trevor, call me back. Now. I don't know what you told Paige, but she's lost her mind. Call me back. The second, this is insane, Trevor. Paige called Diana Weston and told her everything. Everything. Do you understand what you've done? The third was mostly screaming. By the 7th, please, Trevor, please call me back. We need to fix this. I'll do anything. Just please call me back. I poured myself a scotch and listened to Paige's messages. Trevor, I'm so sorry. I know you didn't ask me to get involved, but I couldn't let this continue. Diana deserved to know the truth. I confronted Aubrey about the affair. She admitted everything. She's been seeing Garrett Weston for 2 months. Trevor, I'm so sorry. You deserve better than this. Diana's filing for divorce. She's taking the kids to her mother's house. And Garrett. Trevor, he got fired. The partners at Pinnacle called an emergency meeting this morning. Something about maintaining professional standards and protecting the firm's reputation. Kinsley's message was harder to understand through the tears. Trevor, I don't know what's happening. Diana Weston showed up at Thea's apartment this morning with photos and text messages. She was screaming about Aubrey and some married man. Thea's freaking out because her neighbors called the building management. And Aubrey... God, Trevor, Aubrey's been calling everyone, trying to do damage control, but it's too late. Everyone knows. Please call me back. I don't understand what's happening. I sat there for a long moment, processing. Paige had moved faster than I'd expected. I'd figured she'd confront Aubrey privately, maybe give her a chance to end the affair quietly. Instead, she'd gone nuclear and called Diana directly. Part of me felt bad about that. Diana was an innocent victim in all this, and she'd been hurt in a way she didn't deserve. But another part of me, the part that had been humiliated at dinner while Aubrey's friends giggled, felt a dark satisfaction. Actions had consequences. Aubrey was finally learning that. My phone rang. Aubrey again. This time I answered. "Where have you been?" she screamed before I could even say hello. "Do you know what your psychotic sister-in-law did?" "She's not psychotic," I said calmly, "and she's not my sister-in-law anymore. Trevor, you have to help me fix this. Diana's telling everyone. She's posting things on Facebook. She called Garrett's partners. She even called my boss. I might get fired." "Sounds like you should have thought about that before you started sleeping with her husband. It wasn't supposed to happen like this." "How was it supposed to happen, Aubrey? You demand an open relationship, I start dating your friends, and then what? I was supposed to sit quietly while you had your affair." "You don't understand." "I understand perfectly. You wanted to have your cake and eat it too. You wanted the safety net of our relationship while you explored your options. But you never expected me to explore mine." There was silence on the other end, broken only by her ragged breathing. "The engagement's off," she said finally. "I figured. And I want you out of my life. Completely. No more games, no more dating my friends, no more revenge plots. Just gone. Fine by me. But Aubrey? What? You don't get to control who I date just because you don't want to face the consequences of your choices. Brielle, Kinsley, Thea, they're all adults who can make their own decisions. Stay away from them. That's not up to you anymore." I hung up and blocked her number. Monday morning brought a text from Brielle. "Coffee? We need to talk." We met at our usual place, but the atmosphere was different now. Tenser. Brielle looked tired, like she hadn't slept. "So," she said, stirring sugar into her latte, "Diana Weston is a force of nature." "What do you mean?" "She showed up at Kinsley's apartment yesterday morning. Had a whole folder of evidence, screenshots of text messages between Aubrey and Garrett, photos of them together, credit card statements showing hotel charges." Brielle shook her head. "Kinsley called me crying. She had no idea what was going on." "And Thea?" "Thea's in full damage control mode. Her landlord got complaints about the screaming match in the hallway, and she's worried about getting evicted. She's also panicking because some of her Instagram followers are starting to connect the dots between her posts with you and the drama with Aubrey. I felt a stab of guilt. I'd wanted to hurt Aubrey, not destroy innocent bystanders. How much do they know? Diana made it very clear that you were the one who exposed the affair. Aubrey apparently told her that you're dating all her friends as revenge for her having an affair. And what do you think about that? Brielle was quiet for a long moment, studying my face. I think, she said finally, that you're a lot more calculating than you let on. I think you knew exactly what would happen when you told Paige about the affair, and I think you wanted this outcome. She wasn't wrong. Does that bother you? It should, she said. But honestly, I'm impressed. Aubrey played games with your life, so you played better games with hers. So what happens now? Now we see how far you're willing to take this. Before I could ask what she meant, her phone buzzed. She glanced at it and smiled. Not a nice smile. Aubrey's throwing a party, she said. This Friday night, she's calling it an empowerment celebration or some nonsense. Apparently, she's decided to rebrand herself as a strong, independent woman who doesn't need a man. Are you going? We're all invited. Me, Kinsley, Thea, plus half the people from her work, the ones who haven't heard about the affair yet. Brielle's smile got sharper. She's trying to control the narrative before it gets away from her. Smart. It would be if she wasn't inviting all the people who know the truth to the same party. Brielle leaned forward. This is your chance, Trevor. Your moment to end this once and for all. What are you suggesting? Come to the party. Not as my date, not as anyone's date. Just show up. Let her try to explain to a room full of people why her ex-fiancé is there, why her friends have been dating him, why she's suddenly single. Brielle's eyes were bright with malicious excitement. Let her try to spin that story in real time. It was tempting, more than tempting. She'll never let me in. She won't have a choice. It's at Kinsley's apartment building, the rooftop space. I'm on the guest list, so I can bring a +1. Brielle pulled out her phone and started typing. What's your shoe size? What? Trust me. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday passed in a blur of planning. Brielle was in full strategist mode, laying out the party like a military operation. She'd recruited Thea, who was feeling guilty about the Instagram situation, and even Kinsley, who was tired of being caught in the middle of everyone else's drama. The key, Brielle explained over dinner Wednesday night, is timing. Aubrey's planning to make a speech around 9 o'clock. Something about new beginnings and toxic relationships. That's when we make our move. Our move? You'll see. Thursday afternoon, I got a call from Paige. Trevor, I owe you an apology. For what? For handling the Diana situation so poorly. I should have talked to you first before calling her. You did the right thing, Paige. Diana deserved to know the truth. Maybe, but I made things harder for you. And for Aubrey's friends who got caught in the crossfire. I could hear the guilt in her voice. Paige was too good a person for this kind of drama. How's Aubrey handling everything? She's not well. She got fired from Pinnacle yesterday. Apparently, the partners decided that having an affair with a colleague violated their morality clause. Paige sighed. She's talking about moving to California, starting over somewhere new. Maybe that's for the best. Maybe. But Trevor, she's not done fighting yet. She's planning something for Friday night, some kind of party where she's going to tell her side of the story. I heard. Are you going? I hesitated. Should I? I don't know. Part of me thinks you should let her leave with whatever dignity she has left. But another part of me thinks... She paused. She humiliated you in public, Trevor. If you want to return the favor, this might be your only chance. After she hung up, I sat in my apartment, looking at the formal invitation Brielle had somehow procured for me. Thick cardstock, elegant lettering. Join Aubrey Connolly for an evening of new beginnings. The irony was perfect. Friday evening, I put on my best suit, the one I'd been planning to wear to our wedding. Dark navy, perfectly tailored, the kind of outfit that made me look like someone worth taking seriously. I'd learned that lesson from Aubrey herself. Presentation was everything. Brielle picked me up at 8:30, looking stunning in an emerald green dress that matched her eyes. "You clean up nice," she said as I got into her car. "Thanks. You look incredible." "I know." She smiled. "Are you ready for this?" "As ready as I'll ever be." "Good. Because once we walk into that party, there's no going back. You understand that, right?" I understood. This was the point of no return, the moment when I stopped being the victim of Aubrey's games and became something else entirely. "Let's do this." The rooftop of Kinsley's building was transformed. String lights, cocktail tables, a DJ spinning ambient electronic music, about 40 people mingling, drinking, laughing. The kind of party Aubrey excelled at. All surface, all performance, no substance. She was holding court by the bar when we arrived, wearing a red dress that probably cost more than my monthly rent. She looked good, confident, radiant even, playing the part of a woman who'd chosen freedom over convention. Then she saw me. The change in her expression was instantaneous. Confidence melted into shock, then confusion, then something approaching panic. She said something to the group around her and started walking toward us. "What the hell are you doing here?" she hissed as soon as she was close enough. "Brielle invited me," I said calmly. "Beautiful party, by the way." "Very empowering. You need to leave. Now." "I don't think so. I'm having a lovely time." People were starting to notice the tension. Conversations were pausing, heads turning in our direction. Aubrey was acutely aware of the attention. It was probably killing her. "Trevor, please," she said, her voice lower now. "Don't do this." "Don't do what?" "I'm just here to celebrate your new beginnings." Brielle appeared at my elbow with 2 glasses of champagne. "Aubrey, you look amazing. How are you holding up?" "I'm fine," Aubrey said through gritted teeth. "Just surprised to see certain people here." "Oh, Trevor? I hope you don't mind that I brought him. He's been such wonderful company lately." Brielle's smile was innocent, but her eyes were predatory. "Wonderful company?" Aubrey's voice was getting shrill. "Oh, yes. We've had the most interesting conversations. About marriage, about loyalty, about what happens when people don't appreciate what they have." Brielle took a sip of her champagne. Very enlightening. I could see Aubrey calculating, trying to figure out how to diffuse the situation without making a scene. But she was trapped between her desire to maintain control and her need to get me out of there before I ruined her carefully crafted narrative. "Excuse me, everyone," she said suddenly, raising her voice to address the party. "If I could have your attention for just a moment." The crowd turned toward her. This wasn't the planned 9 o'clock speech. This was damage control in real time. "I just wanted to thank you all for being here tonight," she continued, her smile bright and brittle. "As many of you know, I've recently made some difficult decisions about my personal life. Sometimes we have to let go of things that aren't serving us anymore, even when it's painful." Murmurs of support from the crowd. "You're so brave, Aubrey." "Good for you." "His loss." "It's been challenging," she continued, "especially when some people can't accept those decisions and try to make things complicated." She looked directly at me as she said it. The implication was clear. I was the bitter ex who couldn't let go. "But tonight isn't about looking backward," she said. "It's about moving forward. It's about surrounding ourselves with people who support us, who celebrate our choices, who—" "Speaking of choices," I interrupted, stepping forward so everyone could hear me clearly. I think we should all congratulate Aubrey on her courage. The crowd looked confused. This wasn't going according to the script. It takes real bravery, I continued, to demand an open relationship from your fiancé in front of all your friends. It takes even more bravery to actually use that freedom to explore new opportunities. Aubrey's face went white. Trevor, don't what? Don't mention how you've been embracing new experiences, meeting new people? I smiled at the confused faces around us. I'm sure everyone here supports your right to make those choices. What is he talking about? Someone whispered. I think, said a voice from the crowd, he's talking about Garrett Weston. Everyone turned. Diana Weston was standing by the elevator, still in her work clothes like she'd come straight from the office. She looked tired, haggard, but determined. The silence that followed was deafening. Diana, Aubrey breathed. What are you doing here? Kinsley invited me, Diana said, walking through the crowd that was parting like the Red Sea. She thought I deserved to hear your empowerment speech in person. I glanced at Kinsley, who was standing by the bar, looking terrified, then at Brielle, who was watching the scene unfold with undisguised satisfaction. Diana, you don't understand, Aubrey started. I understand perfectly. Diana's voice was steady, controlled. You had an affair with my husband. For 2 months, in hotel rooms that you charged to his corporate card, gasps from the crowd. People were pulling out phones now, some recording, others texting frantically. You told him you loved him, Diana continued. You told him his marriage was a mistake, that he deserved better. You helped him plan how to ask me for a divorce. That's not... I have the text messages, Aubrey. All of them. Diana pulled out her phone. Would you like me to read some of them aloud? The ones where you called me a boring suburban wife? Or maybe the ones where you planned your first weekend getaway together? The crowd was riveted now. This was better than reality TV. And the funniest part? Diana's voice was getting stronger, angrier. You actually believed he was going to leave me for you. Right up until the moment I confronted him, and he threw you completely under the bus. Aubrey looked like she was going to be sick. He said it was all your idea. That you pursued him. That you threatened to tell me about the affair if he didn't sleep with you. Diana smiled, but it wasn't pleasant. So really, Aubrey, you're not just a homewrecker. You're also incredibly naive. The silence stretched out. Nobody moved. Nobody spoke. Finally, Aubrey found her voice. Get out, she whispered. Excuse me? Diana asked. Get out! Aubrey screamed. All of you! This is my party. Get out! But it was too late. The damage was done. People were already moving toward the elevators, phones buzzing with calls and messages. The carefully curated image of empowered independence had shattered in real time, broadcast to everyone who mattered in Aubrey's social and professional circles. As the crowd dispersed, I found myself alone with Aubrey by the rooftop railing. The party was over, the lights still twinkling, but the magic gone. Are you happy now? She asked, not looking at me. Are you? I countered. She laughed, but it sounded more like a sob. You destroyed everything. My job, my reputation, my friends, everything. You did that yourself. I just gave you the rope. No, she said, finally turning to face me. You planned this. All of it. The dates with my friends, telling Paige about Garrett, bringing Diana here tonight. You orchestrated my destruction. I could have denied it, could have played innocent, claimed it was all coincidence. But what was the point now? You said you wanted freedom, I said simply, so I gave you all the freedom you could handle. She stared at me for a long moment, and I saw something in her eyes I'd never seen before. Respect. Grudging, bitter respect. You're not who I thought you were, she said finally. No, I agreed. I'm not. She walked toward the elevator without another word. I watched her go, this woman who'd shaped the last 3 years of my life, who'd tried to reshape them into something smaller and more convenient. The elevator doors closed behind her and I was alone on the rooftop with the city lights spread out below me. My phone buzzed, a text from Brielle. "Heading home. You okay?" I typed back. "Perfect."